Our program here at Manitoba Inuit Association that focuses on education is called Education Connections Program. So that would be between grades 10 up towards post-secondary education. I think ultimately our goal for Education Connections is to increase enrollments of Inuit students in post-secondary institutions and their programs. As well, we discovered in looking at some of the data of enrollment of Inuit students in public schools, which are low numbers in Manitoba, we felt that we wanted to extend this program to Inuit youth who are working their way through secondary school. So we're hoping to build an Inuit student mentorship program that creates a bit of a peer support network between Inuit secondary students and post-secondary students, and ultimately wrapping Inuit culture around these groups of youth and working with Inuit volunteers in our community, as well as Inuit elders and artists and performers and those that are working with sewing and beadwork and all that is representative of Inuit culture, and bringing that to these young people as a way to keep them connected to who they are and where they come from. And we're hoping as a result of knowing who they are and where they come from and gaining some insight, understanding, and a sense of pride, if you will, that builds some resiliency, allows them to foster their language and culture, and ultimately succeed in their dreams. Well, in this province, it's special and unique because we are working with Inuit, and Inuit they are a people who don't originate from Manitoba ancestrally. So it's unique just in the sense of that's the population that we're working with. Keeping in mind, Manitoba is standing on the land of Treaty 1 and the homeland of the Red River Métis. Aside from that, I think being able to reach out to Inuit youth and reminding them of their history as Indigenous people of this country, and fostering that cultural connectivity that we know builds resilience in young people. Keeping in mind, Inuit youth are coming down from Arctic communities that are 400 people, and they find themselves on university campuses that are twice the size of home. And they don't see a lot of faces on campus that resemble who they are as Inuit. So I think if we can bring them back to who they are culturally and preserve language and invigorate their community ties and create a sense of community that is supportive for them, that's a measure of excellence. As an organization, over the course of the last few years I've been involved, we've had specific events that bring the community together, again, around culture. So an example of that has been our long-standing partnership with the Winnipeg Art Gallery, and considering their Inuit Art Center project that they will be constructing in the next couple of years, that will house Inuit art from all over Canada. We have a long-standing annual get-together on their rooftop where we do igloo building. So we bring people in from the community who are masters at building igloos and invite other people in the community, Inuit and non-Inuit, as a way of sharing that Inuit traditional knowledge of building your shelter. And I don't know, we've had a great turnout from, again, both the Inuit and non-Inuit community together on a rooftop, sipping traditional tea inside an igloo and having conversations about who the Inuit are, what's important to them. And then we go inside, and there are opportunities for the young people to learn their Inuit traditional stories and their storytelling, and young Inuit children sitting at the knees of their elders and parents and cousins and aunts, and that's always been something we've looked forward to. And then we've had other community projects that have involved reaching out to women, Inuit women, and teaching them or reminding them of traditional Inuit sewing. So sewing kamiks, traditional boots, tapestries that tell a story, an individual story or a community story or a traditional story. We have a tapestry that was created a couple of years ago that's hanging 10 meters high, made up of individual tapestry work here locally at one of the libraries. So those are some of the experiences that we've had bringing the community together around Inuit art and culture. For me, what I see, I would interpret it to be that knowledge of who you are as an Inuit person that you get from your elders and from your extended family that really lies in the environment around you. That Inuit knowledge, that Inuit traditional knowledge, Inuit traditional child rearing. You get an understanding of how it is you raise your babies and your children in a traditional way, learning about the land and the connection to the land, why the land is so important, the animals, the sea ice. That education is as important, if not more important, to, I think, most Indigenous people. There's book knowledge and knowledge that you can gain, through programs at a university level. But I think as an Indigenous person, it's that intrinsic connection with the land and a holistic view of who you are and really where you come from. I think we would like to see a greater number of Inuit students enrolled in a post-secondary institution, regardless of program. And those students would be future leaders, in our community and in our country, that could bring a greater understanding to community and to Canadians, especially in this time of reconciliation between our Indigenous and non-Indigenous Canadians. In terms of resources, we require human resources. This is a program that obviously needs individuals from the community. We need Inuit people involved in the program, both by way of its design and its implementation. We need folks that are in the community, reaching out to these students, both in the secondary environment as well as on campus. We'll need resources that, go from sewing materials and on-the-land materials, beadwork, like everything we need for the arts and crafts area. We need a place to provide this program. That's something that we don't have currently. So it does come down to funding, and funding is, I'm sure most people have been saying this to you in your other interviews, that from as an Indigenous organization, we shouldn't have to be running programs in a patchwork sense.